A lot of New Yorker cartoons are actually about something. They're not didactic, but they are located in our world. So humor in some way deals with our fears and the unpleasant things in life and tries to give us some distance from it. The bedrock of humor, it is just having fun. The New Yorker isn't the bedrock, it's the Everest. Hey, Lord, how are you?
I'm all in one piece.
Let's see a cartoon. One of the unpublicized vampires. Vampires are over. Look. Laundry. Hopelessly ineffective. Sisyphus.
I go into the magazine every Tuesday, and by this time I'm almost totally inured, to the rejections. I mean, that goes with the territory. This, I thought you'd like this a lot. See, to make it look exactly
What do you say?
like...
No. What's this?
No, clowns. I said send in the clowns, and these are clones.
Oh, yeah, that I understand. This was
See,
like...
but I'm saying...
This is just a wordplay joke. Clones are old. We've been doing
Look
clones...
how visual this is.
It is visual. I agree.
I used to say I was going into the magazine for my weekly humiliation, along with everybody else.
Send them in.
Send in the clones. Hi, Bob. Hey, Bob.
How are you?
Hey.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
I like this. This is a Picasso joke. My eyes are over here. I lost so much weight, I have room for a summer intern. It's great.
Sumoers, because they're sumos. They're giant s'mores with diapers on.
It's so crazy. Who's this, a little cat?
It's a cat in a suit.
A cat in a suit.
You've seen everything. This format has been around for a long time, so I think we're trying to make it a little weirder. Take it somewhere it hasn't gone yet. Which is hard because it's gone into a lot of really funny places already.
First time I submitted, I guess was in, it was 1946, 1964. Oops.
First thing I submitted in New York, I submitted in second grade. It was a cartoon of a hunter who had shot Donald Duck, and he was telling his friend, come over, you gotta see this one. And I sent it to Tina Brown, who was the editor at the time. It was not accepted. I got a book out of the library in Los Angeles that was written by Mort Gerber. And, it told you, who to submit to, and where, and what the process was. I saw that there's an art meeting once a week. You send 10 or 12 cartoons in a self-addressed stamped envelope, and so that's what I did.
This is about the amount that I get in half a day.
It felt like an assistant at the New Yorker was just pulling them out of what I sent them and putting it in my self-addressed envelope and putting it back with the little slip.
It's hard to pass it up to Bob, especially if the drawings are really goofy or overly cartoonish.
We regret that we are unable to use the enclosed material. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to consider it. The editors.
It comes to the point where you sort of get almost addicted to the glue.
It's the least personable interaction you could have with someone about something.
I started submitting the New Yorker in 1971. And the first 10 cartoons I drew got rejected. And I thought, okay, well, be better next time. Be better next time. Be better next time. I was rejected for 25 years.
All right, off we go. All right, wait. I can't throw it yet. All right, I will throw it.
Oh, sweetie.
Why is
That's
it?
okay. That's all right. You do other things well.
Ow. Corey tries to keep my ever-expanding ego under control.
Are you supposed to keep talking to them?
What?
Aren't we supposed to pretend they're not there?
Oh, well, we break the
Can't
we break the
do
fourth
this
wall
thing
too.
the way we're supposed to?
No, it's supposed to be a
You
combination.
can't resist. A group of girls.
Well, yeah. They are my entourage.
Bring me back to real life, sweetie.
This is the affectionate part.
This is the part we fake.
Well, yeah, true.
Right. He doesn't do that when it's just the two of us. He does that when there is a fresh and broader audience. I am not his prime audience. I don't think. I don't.
But I am
I know I'm the love of your life.
Absolutely.
And I know you get a lot of your material from me. And I try, both intentionally and unintentionally. Like all those women in the cartoons with no hips. That's really me, except that he, slimmed me down.
See? My memoir. Originally, I'm writing the memoir because of the advance. Part of it is like it's assignment. How many words do I have? They said 40,000. I'm counting the words in my Word document. But then you really start thinking about your whole life. You realize, whoa, you're not going to have another memoir. Which means you're not going to have another life.
I am the firstborn of the firstborn of the firstborn. And my father was a cutter in a clothing manufacturing company. He never made more than $40 a week. And I was, the young hope. I think I was making $150 a week as a copy chief, which was more money by far than my father ever had earned in his life. And so when I decided that I had it, I came home and I said, I have something to tell you. I'm quitting my job and I'm going to Mexico and I'm going to try to learn to draw. And he looked at me and he said, this is no job for a Jewish person. You can't be a cartoonist, so I'm disinheriting you. Which is really kind of funny because he didn't have very much to disinherit me from. That was when I said, I'm going to try this freelance life. And if it works, it'll work. How come I never remember what this is?
It's on the card.
I got it. No, it's all right.
Okay.
A lot of people speak about the long apprenticeship, let's say, banging on doors with your fist. It's very different today. This was the very first cartoon that I ever sold to the New Yorker. The first. It wasn't the first that was printed, but it was the first that I sold, and it was a full page. How about that as a debut? From there on, it went downhill. Look at this. The caption is, I've always been partial to high ceilings.
The New Yorker began as a comic weekly. The cartoons, or the drawings as they're called, that was right there from the very first issue in February of 1925. So on one hand, it was originally to have art in the magazine. There were no photographs in this magazine, with some tiny exceptions, until the early 90s. And they were to provide delight. They were to provide a spirit of the magazine.
James Thurber got it down to a single word where there's a guy in the fencing and the other guy's head goes off and the guy's saying touche. Immediate, visual, and comic. You got it. In a technical sense, it was absolutely bad. In an emotional sense, and for his crazy cartoons, loopy cartoons, it was perfectly right. William Steig is amazing because he transformed himself from a wonderful cartoonist of sort of lower-class Jewish city life into a psychologist of humanity. There were celebrity cartoonists like Charles Addams and Peter Arno, who maybe at that time were making $100,000 a year. They're making good money. Peter Arno won like the best-dressed man in America. He was a bon vivant. Arno completely captured his time. One of his best-known cartoons became part of the language in which the plane is crashed in the background. You see the pilot parachuting. Everyone is running towards it all, and the engineer is walking away saying, well, back to the drawing board. Every line in that drawing draws you into the plane and then back out to see this figure. Charles Addams is probably the most well-known New Yorker cartoonist because of the Addams Family. What Addams did is he made Gothic horror funny. Saul Steinberg was a huge inspiration. He saw not only humor, but philosophy. But he elevated the whole field of what cartooning could be, that it could be an art, and that it could be an aspirational enterprise.
I came in at the end of the golden age of cartooning, and it started that way back in the 40s or so, probably 15 years before I started. What made it possible to survive in the days when I began was that there were so many magazines. You could be rejected 90% of the time, but if there were 95 magazines, you were still selling. I was selling to Saturday Review, and I was also selling to Look magazine, Argosy, This Week, True magazine, Collier's Saturday Evening Post, McCall's or Ladies' Home Journal, Esquire at that time published cartoons. So I think 63 was my first appearance in Playboy. I cut my teeth on the girly magazines, on Dude and Gent. One of the places was a magazine called Rascal out of Chicago.
Cartoonists in those days went after the whole field. According to whatever market paid the most, you offer them your stuff first.
Little by little, they all started either closing down or diminishing or not using cartoons at all.
The cartoons had partly made the New Yorker what it was, so we aren't going to eliminate the cartoons for the New Yorker.
The most important part of that job, and to me the most satisfying part of the job, was discovering and nurturing new talent. Finding someone who had a recognizable personal style, didn't look like anything else in the magazine, and also had a point of view. In other words, you were not just buying gags, you were buying a personality that revealed itself through the work. I was thrilled to find that there were people out there like that. One of them is Roz Chast.
It's okay. Good girl. Outside world, what is that? I just spent a lot more time indoors than outdoors. Not that there's anything wrong with going outside, but it just seems sort of more, the temperature's never right. You know, it's too hot, it's too cold, it's too sunny, it's too rainy. There's branches, there's ticks. It's just annoying in so many ways. I started bringing my cartoons to The New Yorker when I was 23, and Lee told me that when my stuff first started running, somebody asked him if he owed my family money. Knee slapper. Yeah. But I feel like just a few minutes ago, I was, you know, the young kid there.
I didn't really talk to anybody for a long time. There were no other people my age. There were no other women. I just kind of felt like, I'm going to do this. I'm not going to have a freak out. I'm just going to bring my work in. Just act kind of like a regular, normal person that has a right to be here. And, and then I'll just get out as soon as I can.
He's such a passionate nurturer of the art of cartooning. Bob, we salute you, and we salute all of you here today.
In the New Yorker history, it's published 58,000 cartoons. 58,000 cartoons, which I have right here on this disc, which is virtual scale. Oh, God. Back up. I think really when I became cartoon editor, I really didn't know what I was doing and didn't do a very good job. I just said, oh, well, these are the best cartoons in the world. Here they are, they're giving this stuff. It was like a plane that was running really on automatic pilot. Next victim. But I think about a year into it, I realized that, this is a plane that was going to run out of fuel. Unless we interceded, this was going to be the last generation of cartoonists to do this. One of the things I did do is I've opened this thing up. So now it is open. All you have to do is call and say, I want to show you my cartoons. Give me 10 ideas every week. Try to do it for a year, because in doing those ideas, you're developing what it is you actually have to say. It's encouraging for people, I hope, to come here and for me to try to encourage them. Mimes. People hate mimes. And then that's the way you're going to find it. I like the idea, but not this idea particularly. I think our goal here is intergenerational. I want to open it up to younger people, absolutely, but I don't want to put these other people on an ice floe, because they still have really good things to do. Well, why is it a bunny? I don't know, because I do good bunnies. The drawing's a little bit clunky.
I did Google how to draw people sitting.
It's an old form, and it has to evolve. So I'm looking for that. Everybody's always looking for the next Roz Gath. They were looking for the next Saul Steinberg, and there was no next Saul Steinberg. But it doesn't always exist like that. Anybody else? Anybody left?
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you? You're the intern here.
So what have you been doing?
I have a fellowship to make a graphic novel.
Oh, where is this?
It's called a 6 Points Fellowship. I'm almost finished. It's about a Yiddish advice column.
That's the graphic novel.
Yeah.
Huh. Sneaker from Hell. I like the style. It's interesting. So let me think about this. We're always looking for things that break the pattern.
Yeah. I've come here like 3 times before, and I always tried to be mainstream, and my work was terrible. So
You're not
I decided,
mainstream.
I try, I can't.
Even your voice isn't mainstream.
It's wobbly.
It's great, but
Thank
it's
you.
interesting. Somehow it's your whole persona. To me, anyway, it seems like that.
Asperger's.
I like these. I don't know whether David will go for them or not. The real thing is, are you willing to do it?
Yeah.
What is this about you? Is this like a one-of, or something you did in a week? Or
No.
is this some expression of your personality? Can you keep doing it? Can you expand it?
I've been doing these constantly since I was 16, and I just never bring them in because I self-censor. But I'm getting more confident about
These
being
are
able to take
interesting.
rejection.
I like these. There's something about them that's good.
Okay.
Okay?
Can I come back?
No.
Come back.
Never.
Thank you so much.
Never darken the cartoon department door again. But, bye-bye.
I'd always been this extremely shy kid. I couldn't make eye contact, and I had this very quiet voice, and I was always happy living in my own world and having maybe 2 friends. In 2nd grade, we made these books. When I grow up, I want to be a cartoon artist with my friend Rebecca Schenker. Suddenly, when I was a teenager, I realized that I wanted to be human, and I didn't know how. That's when art started to become not just something that was fun and that I did, but I started looking to it as some kind of way that I could save myself. We clumped together, we climbed out, and we planned to rise to the top of your society. I think that's too long. I like the sillier ones like this, but I feel like they're more me and less New Yorkers. The New Yorker is very to the point, it's punchliney. I don't think that's what I'm best at, and I think they'll accept me not being that. I think the real thing that I have to learn is that I shouldn't want to be that so very badly, and I do.
I think the New Yorker is it's a very sort of like white establishment publication in a lot of ways. A lot of the jokes that do get in are sort of lampooning the sort of person who reads the New Yorker. It's a segment of society that takes itself very seriously, so it's just begging for it. Organic food buying, private school, artisanal trend, kind of basically stupid cracker shit. I'm digging myself quite a hole here. I maybe pitch more things that try to subvert the usual New Yorker thing than actually get in, but it's important to me and to Bob that I keep working that angle.
Let's see, here's some stuff I haven't turned in yet. This guy. This is the latest one. Oh, that's what those are for. And God's putting coffee in the guy's halo. When I'm editing down what I'm going to submit, I have an idea of what Bob and Dave Remnick are looking for the magazine, but I'll also include things that are, different in some way, different than the normal kind of joke, because it makes it exciting, and I think they like seeing that. This is a guy, he's walking a bowling ball, and this woman's walking all these bowling pins, and they're going to intersect. As my characters are sort of blocky, with no necks, not particularly attractive. I think necks make people look sort of regal. And I'm taking them down a notch without a neck. We grew up with crazy Ren and Stimpy cartoons, and The Simpsons really, I think, has influenced the kinds of jokes that I make. When I first started submitting cartoons, Bob asked me to tone it down a little bit. He said my characters looked like they were too much on crack.
I think they want punchy stuff, Joke. And I can write a gag to save my life. My work doesn't work that way. I have a couple. It's always the same couple. It's the same situation. They're always in the living room. And stuff happens to them that I'm not aware of. I'm just a vessel.
So many of the cartoonists there now are humorists first, whereas I drew first. I was an illustrator first. Bob is convinced that, he pointed out that my writing seemed to need a lot of work. Here I have a line, the girl with the regrettable tattoo, which I thought was funny, but I couldn't figure out how to use it. Wolf who cried boy. I tried the boy who cried squirrel, and then you have to think why would he cry that? Now I have a squirrel in place of King Kong. The boy who cried sloth. What if you replaced King Kong with a sloth? And the policemen are saying, we'd better send some planes up eventually. Still life with Anaconda, 2 rabbits, and my niece Rachel. I feel like that's already a New Yorker cartoon. He's wearing a t-shirt that says, God is my co-pilot, and God is wearing a t-shirt that says, Lenny is my bitch. I think I've sold maybe 10, maybe 12 cartoons. Not that many so far. And if I could make a living at it, I think that, that I'd be pretty happy with that. My brother was kind enough to hire me at his furniture store. It's pretty mind-free, it's pretty painless.
Cartoonists can make a living as a New Yorker cartoonist. It's the best paying outlet in the world. The problem is that most cartoonists at the New Yorker live in expensive cities. It's hard to live in New York and be a New Yorker cartoonist.
I think almost everyone from my generation, my sort of the time when I started cartooning, we all have day jobs.
Come on, buddy.
I'm
so angry that I cannot be just paid to draw dogs drinking out of toilets all the time.
I'm a junior size medium and a contemporary size 6. And it doesn't mean that I'm perfect. It just means that my body is sort of average enough and not extreme in any direction.
Being a single panel cartoonist is like being a poet. If you think, oh, this is my career, I'm gonna have health insurance, I'm gonna have a great house, it's just not the reality of it.
My parents really did want me to be a teacher. I remember my mother would sometimes make these pronouncements, and she'd go, you know how Picasso got so successful? He flooded the market. And be like, I don't know. American colonists, women, made rugs out of like old clothing that they tore into strips and then wove through burlap. This one is going to be Carrot Man here. And I haven't worked on him yet. How did you know with the peas and carrots design? I always like cans. My rule is that they have to be cans from stores. Grandma Brown's. This I got when I was in Alabama once. Isn't that beautiful? This is very nice, I think. Just the color, the pink and the red, and the drawing of the squid. These are peas. Eat them. Can you see like an outfit, like based on this? This is good. No? I mean the full Monty. Yeah, I went through a big Pisanki egg phase. Oh, he's perched on my ring. Oh. The problem is, if there's a hairline crack in the egg, suddenly the egg will go boop, and you just die. I think this has a recipe for banana meatloaf in it. Yeah. I collect these articles. There's some hilarious stuff in here. This is one of my favorites. Mom was really something. She always made sure I had the biggest birthday party and the prettiest dress at the prom. She never stopped giving me her best love and attention. It's my turn now, Mom, to give you the best because you deserve it. Casket Company. My mother was very complicated, and my relationship with her was complicated. She was very, very strict. She was, very strong, very, very strong person, and too strong for me, in fact. But one thing about drawing, especially drawing funny pictures, is it's something you can sort of do in private. And so, somebody could, be like really sort of horrible to you, but if you were too afraid of having a fight with them or not really strong enough to have a fight with them, you could say, okay then. Oh, you are so right. Oh, nobody in the world has ever been righter than you. You are brilliant. And then, you go back to your room and you secretly draw what you really think. And, it's a good sort of way for a quiet, passive, frightened person to get back. I think there are some people who go into comedy or go into cartooning who have happy childhoods, but I don't think it necessarily serves you well. I was kind of a tubby, bespectacled mess as a kid. Although I am at times still tubby and bespectacled, but slightly less of a mess. I would have teased me too, if I had been in the position to do such a thing. I think getting teased as a kid is almost a prerequisite for becoming a cartoonist. You have to have a reason to look at the world differently, because if you don't, there's no reason to do it unless you're forced into it. I think you need that kind of struggle. Problem for a cartoonist is how to keep working or wanting to work when you're really happy. You kind of have to start looking outside of your usual universe of personal conflicts. Because if you're, I'm very content. So I can't just make jokes about personal misery or anything like that. So yeah, there are worse problems to have. And I'm too happy to make jokes about shit, but okay, let's go upstairs. Look at this angel. She's ridiculous.
Reality is very funny. Reality is wonderful. And when you draw pictures, you can do it any way you want, but when it's real, people recognize it, and it's funnier than something you could make up. We all know somebody that spends too much time in the tub. I've done it myself, and that's kind of funny. Man ought to get out of there and dry off and go to work somewhere.
You know, I've always treated them like journals. They're like how I process what's happening to me. You know, what am I thinking about? Who's bothering me? What's interesting me? Like, well, you know, what am I looking forward to? But every now and then, someone has said, "Was that cartoon about me?" And I said no, and but it was.
People say humor is true. What it wants is a grain of truth. It doesn't want a real truth. I mean, we already have real truth. Everybody knows what the real deal is about. Like, you don't need humor to tell what the real thing is. Sweet Hillary Avenue. Yes, the counselor. And, you know, memoir, I mean, I didn't tell a lot of the truth because I wanted to be funny. But it's not always easy to transform every experience you have into humor.
Here's my mom and me again.
I definitely loved my father, but I didn't like my mother very much. She's someone who I was always in conflict with because I inherited a lot from her constitutionally. Her anxieties, her neuroticism. I often feel bad that I wasn't nicer to her. But I did feel that really she was a bottomless pit of need that I never would have been able to satisfy. I was a spoiled kid, so I think that entitlement always made me feel I could do whatever I wanted. I was definitely a jerk because I was very aggressive and funny and mean. That's weird to say. Like a professional boxer can't get into a fight because his hand's a lethal weapon. In humor, I really feel I had to restrain myself because, you know, I'm funny and you can be really cruel, too. I needed to get away from my parents to develop my comic persona.
On 9/11, New Yorker put the word out, there won't be any cartoons printed in this issue. That was understandable. That was gracious. And they said you can submit if you want to, but we don't plan on printing any cartoons. And I submitted one cartoon, and they printed it. What it was Mama, or Mrs. Ritterhouse. She was doing something that my mother taught. My mother played the violin. And she said, when you want to rest, you put the violin, take the violin, and lay it right down here. And you take your bow and you put it right alongside. That's the correct way. So I put Mama with her violin and bow in a correct place, and she had her head down, she was praying. And they printed that.
The default condition in life is not humor. Humor has to follow seriousness. It couldn't lead in this instance when all these people have been killed. The first cartoon after that the next week is the great Leo Cullum, the late great Leo Cullum's cartoon of woman seeing the guy with the garish jacket saying, I never thought I'd laugh again until I saw that jacket. Bruce Eric Kaplan did a really dark cartoon, maybe it was 2 months later. That it's hard, but slowly I'm getting back to hating everyone. And this is where humor really was the antenna that could see further than well-wishing and even rationality could. I know this one, come on. Password Gauntlet is a fairly good test to see whether or not you have Alzheimer's. Well, I have it. No, I don't. Come on. Mark started in November, and Harry Bliss did a cartoon with a woman getting massaged, and the massage therapist is saying something like, tell me if my incessant complaining about my boyfriend bothers you. And then later we bought a cartoon from Emily Flake saying, tell me if my inane chit-chat bothers you. And we shouldn't have done that. We do occasionally make mistakes like this, but we try very hard not to repeat anything. But sometimes, actually, there's a situation where there's turnover, and to go through and to look for similars, where is this similar, is this identical, is difficult.
I just realized I had started after Thanksgiving, so I guess that was...
We just knew.
Yeah, this is a young pivotal day.
Knew it.
in the woods.
The problem because he's playing why you screwed up.
Yeah. When Bob hired me, he said, I like you because you seem like you're not trying to get ahead. And then I looked at my resume and I was like, yeah, I guess that's right. Cruising for captions here.
Shortly before I started, it was when they started the caption contest. The assistant needed to be someone who could judge all those captions. People go onto the internet and enter their idea for the best gag line for that cartoon, and then some poor soul sorts through all of those at the end of the week. I mean, mainly my job was to just read 8,000 captions a week. That was fun, but it was also soul-crushing. My eyes, which had leveled off at sort of like a certain blurriness, increased several, whatever they are, like blindness points after staring at this caption for so long.
Hi, I'm calling from West Kilgore. Sure. So I'm calling from the New Yorker's cartoon department. He entered a caption or a caption contest. And he's been chosen as one of 3 finalists. Great. Well, have a good afternoon. Cheers. Bye. It sounded like his daughter maybe was saying what's happening, which is sweet. So, yeah, they all seem really excited. So it's made his day, which is, anytime I'm feeling down, I just put in a caption contest call. Spread some love.
Whoa, what's happening here? What's this little guy here? Who's that?
He's a rainbow. He hid the pot of gold up on top.
What's this little thing here?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know? You drew it.
I don't know. It's a face that I draw.
Oh, it's the face of the rainbow.
Yeah. I draw that character's face when I draw, like, God. When I draw, like, giant forces of nature, that's the face I imagine on them. What personality would you imagine a rainbow having? Like, a serious guy, right?
Cartoons should not feel like a struggle. That we're really trying to figure something out. They got to work very, very quickly. And what you don't have is the rhythm of setting up a joke, because we have unusual thoughts. Still within the normal range, but unusual. With Liana, her style is strange. It's very naive, very amateurish, but it has a certain amount of charm to it. And the thing is, she has a unique sensibility, but she's coming from some different place. So we'll see.
And I love the opening. And the only problem is, do we want to put this on the cover? Because this is so good.
Yeah, but I wanted to give a little personal background on my parents. There's something that says...
Look at what this is now.
Very proud of myself.
That's a lot. You've written... And now some some of the pages only have one cartoon on them, so it looks sort of longer, but then some pages are all text. What I think belongs here is the stuff that actually contributes to your sense of humor.
Well, yeah, I think people will understand that my bar mitzvah from 1957 at the Hotel Pierre.
I took out the bar mitzvah.
Oh, the
Sorry,
whole bar mitzvah?
it's gotta go.
Let's
So
start
far,
it now.
I haven't. I think I've only maybe once or twice said I need more from you. Mostly, it's maybe we could cut that and adding some commas because you don't
Okay.
tend to write with commas.
The other idea is to keep it just as it is, but have an appendix with just commas. No, really, commas.
Your daughter and wife read the draft?
No, they have not read the draft. And there's a lot of tricky parts to put in there because I've been married 3 times. I mean, sometimes when you start writing this book, you say, I'm really going to write a book, but they don't really want a book. I mean, they want a book of a certain sort, which is about cartoons, me and cartooning, and New Yorker. You know, they don't want any book about the dark side of my life. Not that I've chopped anybody up or done anything terrible, but...
I didn't realize you were moving to a new house. I don't know if you know this or not, you probably, but my son died a year and a half ago. And so, you know, we waited and waited, and we just, they're like all the beautiful ghosts are here. And so I love this house, and he's here, and we're all here as a family, but it's very hard to be here. So that's really why, I guess just to try to sort of save our lives, you know, and move on, we thought we would find another new adventure. Again, something new. You could never say goodbye, but you don't. You just, and sort of also for Sarah, asked Sarah, you know, how would you feel if we moved? Would it be easier for you to come home? And she said yes. And so I want to do whatever we can to just try to keep everybody together, but still give us something new a little bit.
Well, I mean...
But that's really defined.
Well, you know, it's been a very hard year, so you compartmentalize and you do what you have to do, and then you are happy at points, and you do things, and you repress things. And, you know, in some days where we still just get through it, so, anyway. So usually what happens when the cameras keep on, you get into stuff. But that's okay. I think it's nice to have something about David in the book. After a tragedy, you're 2 people. You are the person that is grieving and mourning and crying and torn apart, and then you are the person who's still alive, functioning that way. The truth is also, I didn't do any writing for a while, and I said I don't know if I can do the book. After a month or so, doing the book was helpful, though. It was helpful, you know, just working. I mean, that's not some new revelation. I think a lot of people will tell you something like that. So it was hard, and still hard. Pants or the new sweater. No, they're not. One of the mistakes is to think that your laughter is engaged when you're looking at it, or you have to be in a good mood. You don't. I can be in a terrible mood and judge what the cartoons are. I'm judging what people are going to react to and what I would react to in a better mood. No, I told them to send up 2 hikers and their hookers. So, actually, Paul is a great cartoonist, so Paul, that's beneath you. I think distraction, anything that can distract you, you use. Hey, pal, what are you doing? That's my sister.
It's an incredible amount of labor he does. It's somewhere between being a coal miner and a brain surgeon.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
My back goes out all the time.
I'll see you later.
I don't actually want to take like 100 cartoons to David because it's a lot. It's actually numbing to look at all this stuff. The second phone call from heaven. I don't care where you're calling from. Could you speak louder and slower? I know there's a book, Heaven is for Real, Colin. Is there also a book about phone calls from heaven?
The first phone call from heaven.
It's a novel?
Non-fiction. It started happening last year. Yeah.
There's a bias towards representing our regulars, as there should be. But it's not so that it completely overrules anything. And that's why I have a great check on the other end and David, because if it's not really up to what David likes, then he's going to reject it. David will say, ooh. That's my fix. He'll go, ooh.
I prod him on certain things. I want more women in the magazine. I want more diversity of voices in the magazine. I pressed more and more for younger cartoonists, and I have a lot of faith in him.
I invented wax. Thanks, Batman. I guess he's eating all these insects. Carol, get me some pictures of better-looking family to look at. I think it works, but we'll see what David thinks. Hello.
All right,
Hello.
you again.
Me again and again and
Again
again.
and again. How many years has this been the Yes Basket?
Since Zach Cannon.
Yeah, it's
For
like
many
the early
That's
50s.
great.
Hey, how you doing?
It's on my priority list.
All right.
All right. I think that's funny.
Can I edit this tape? Thanks, Batman. And Batman is getting rid of mosquitoes.
That's what bats do, they didn't say.
He looks so relaxed. In a bubble bath in a coffin?
That's right, that's why he's relaxed.
He's holding an already inflated condom.
No,
that's
he's
not
not.
what's happening. It's a drink. It's a drink. She has a drink. He has a drink. It's a drink.
They all have drinks.
It's a drink.
That's a bottle.
That's a bottle.
Judas.
It's very funny, I think, even though we'll get some later.
We'll get a few. Who cares? I'm at some summer outdoor wish I were dead event.
That you like.
That's pretty good, actually.
Yeah, great.
I think that's good.
Mission cup.
Great.
How do you feel back to playing ping pong?
It's an amazing life you lead.
No.
This is where I picked the cartoons from. It's up to me to decide whether the cartoon is going to have its day this week. And what's happening in the world certainly factors into my decision about when something's going to run and when it's not. This is the drug reference. If you ask me, you can't go wrong with this beautiful bouquet of marijuana. Colorado just legalized marijuana. It's funny, it's topical. It's good. There's a lot of male artists. Let me see if I can find a female artist. Let's throw in there. Okay, Barbara Smaller, that's good. A woman. Oh, it's home is the place where when you go there, they have to take you in unless they move to a one-bedroom condo in Boca Raton. Let's see, I think we may have all the ones we need now. Yeah, 15, there we go. And now the job is to put them up on this wall. I'm probably not supposed to say this on camera, but this one is so funny. I've been laughing so hard at this one. You'll be kept awake throughout the operation. A bagpiper is in the operating room. It tickles me. I don't know. They're all fun. But the cartoonist is Ed Steed. I think he's sort of new.
This guy came from nowhere. And bang, the first day, there were 5 of them. And, you know, I had to restrain myself from buying all 5. They were completely fresh. They were alive. They were absurd. They were themselves. They were insanely funny. I don't know much about this guy at all. But I'm nuts about his stuff.
You did a lot of cartoons.
Yeah.
Don't you think you should get out more?
20 years old.
Are you picking up the sounds or are they inaudible? All right, very good. So he's shoveling up the teeth, right?
Yeah, it's like a barber shop.
So it's like a combination. Yeah. Notice not responsible for lost and stolen articles, though. This cartoon could have existed in 1945, 55, 65, whatever. Okay, this is nice. This is pirate's waiting for his loot. How would you end up? I know what you're doing. How? Let's say when you do the finish on this.
For the color,
Yeah,
there's some crayons or something.
yeah. But sort of fun, all different.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's great.
lots of fun.
This is a man doing a Google search, but too late, fire. Coping with ducks.
That's a good one.
It is a good one. Wow, great work, really. I think you're doing amazing stuff.
Thanks.
Well, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Okay, great work. Good to see you.
It's good to see you.
Okay. Well, I mean, he's a genius. You know, who knows what he's actually thinking, right? But there is sort of a gift for this thing that when you see it, you see, wow, this is really a gift for this thing. Because this is what he's doing in a week. You know, and he's I don't know what he's like. He's an interesting guy. There's something a little bit eccentric about him. Like I said, he's only wore the gray shirt. You know, every time I've seen him, it's all he's worn. Just a gray T-shirt. Now, you know, he's raised the ante. He's got a gray shirt over his gray shirt.
Yeah, I'm not really a New York City kind of person, I guess. I'm a country person. I grew up on a farm. We were growing wheat and barley, peas. I was a shepherd for a while. But that was great, I enjoyed that. I first saw the New Yorker about 2 years ago when I just saw it online. I was in Vietnam, traveling, trying to decide what to do with the rest of my life. And yeah, as soon as I saw them, I thought, I'm going to do this. It wasn't so much I wanted to do it, just I knew I could do it. I wanted to do something. I've always seen the world a bit strangely, but it seems normal to me. I think cartoonist brains work in a different way, perhaps. You see connections that other people don't see. But I can't speak for all cartoonists. I don't really know many cartoonists, but I think that's how it works for me.
I'd been submitting for 4 months, and then one day I got an email from Mark, who's Bob's assistant. He wrote, "Congratulations, we have decided to buy your cartoon." I haven't looked at this yet. Slinky's climbing upstairs to spawn. I always wanted to be a very young New Yorker cartoonist, and I think I would have been really excited if I had sold one when I was younger. Now I feel like I'm old enough. I'm not like God's chosen by having sold one. It makes me feel like less of a loser. I should work harder. I should work harder at selling another one now. So are you doing a bunch of baby cartoons now? I'm trying not to submit too much of that kind of thing, because I don't really want to get pigeonholed into, like, you know, not to be whatever about it, but I don't want to be, like just women's issues stuff. About a year in, you know, Bob sort of described me as, like, their envelope pusher, I guess. But there's not a whole lot of envelope pushing, I guess, you can do when it's, like, you know, like, babies, they're nuts, you know. God bless you. Bless you. I mean, some of the stuff that I've submitted is more like exploring the darker side of like motherhood, say, than, you know, as many dick jokes. And I still submit dick jokes, but now they're baby dick jokes.
I'm going to start without you here. How's it going? I am clearly from an older school in terms of in the magazine. But it never was the end all and the total absolute beginning and end of my cartooning career and whatever to be in the New Yorker every week. It never was, it never will be, but I like to be there. I still like to do it. And I recognize the fact that I'm not, that part of the magazine anymore. But I still walk down the street and I still see something and I still think, oh wait, that's kind of funny. And then I come back and I'll start playing with it and there I am back at this box.
You want my autograph?
Yeah.
Okay, so there it is.
So the date?
On this date,
Yeah.
5/28/2014 at 7:45 p.m.
Eastern Standard
There you go. You have a real day.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Are you still working with New Yorker?
Yes.
Oh,
That's right.
thank you very much. Thank you so much.
He's the editor.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I have 2 books.
Oh, great.
Well, the move was hellish. Having to sort through everything, sort through things you don't want to sort through, make choices about things that maybe you don't want to make choices about. But we did all that. Sarah, Steve and Sarah, so helpful. And the spring comes along and the light is so beautiful and we pretend it's like being in a whole nother world. You can sort of pretend you turn the dial on things a little bit. Of course, it was sad to move, but I'm not there. The old house is just pure absence, But this is nice, and it feels like a positive thing to come out. Sorry. No, don't be sorry. Don't be sorry. It's just true. It's what we needed. I think sometimes distraction can be as good as peace if you can't find peace. And you just sort of change some of the scenario a little bit.
But you have to remember.
No, don't. Oh, God. This is so horrible. I'm so glad somebody else gets to watch it for a change. Not just me.
Being funny is being awake. It's like living at 2 different levels at once. You're in the world and you're out of it and you're looking at it. You're having an out-of-mind experience where you're looking at your own mind and stuff. And that's just the way it is to me. And so that's sort of how I want to sort of keep going.
I have a very clear memory, Mommy, of, I don't know how old I was, but Pop said something, and I said, that's not funny. And you pulled me aside, and you said, you don't say that to your father. I felt so bad. Well, maybe it was in a fragile time. Yeah, well, no.
In a world like we are, you can't remain static. And that's really true with the New Yorker. Condé Nast, all the digital stuff that's happening, the huge explosion of the web, and trying to deal with that and still be the New Yorker and still have quality. we constantly walk on fields where slaughter and carnage happen. And here also, even though the memorial is here, we're in this building. And you know what? It's a great building, and we're alive. And it's probably necessary that there is at least some lightness of being, so that we're not dragged down constantly by the sorrow of what happened. Although, we always remember it. I was thinking about it today, really. I was thinking, gee, this is the place where 3,000 people died. And I don't know. And, I'm looking to see if they have decaf. But, that's fine. Probably get fired for that.
That way? I think we're on the right track. Hey.
Very dangerous. Nice to see you.
Good to see you.
Everything's... Welcome to the new...
Oh my gosh, look at that. "45 years. Working here."
How's that work out?
Well, great. Okay, let's see. It's actually not too bad.
Yeah. Thought there'd be a bigger crowd. First day. Everybody's lost. That makes sense.
This looks like a place where you come to get your license renewed. It doesn't look like the New Yorker anymore. Actually,
Where's Ann? This way?
George, I'm here.
Just right here.
Oh.
the people whose work is really unique, who have a very particular identifiable voice that can't be imitated, those are the people that I think manage to stick around.
I have something to give, and I have no doubt about that. I'm gonna bang away at that no matter what and give it.
It's a really pure way of expressing yourself and your sense of humor or your perspective on the world. It's really simple. I mean, I see a lot of people working with a lot of digital gadgetry, and all I need is a pencil and a piece of paper, and I can create my life's work.
I had a dog that she would dig an imaginary hole in the carpet and then put her little snack there. And then she would bury it in imaginary dirt. That's why you do cartoons. Because you just can't not do them.
This is my book. Book of Bob. And so these are going back in time. This is my life in cartoons.